Here is the project. Got most of the motorcycle taken apart for the paint job. There's a metal piece down here that's still on. Doesn't have much metal, just a couple of pieces, one on each side like that one. The body parts are scattered all over the shop. There's a few pieces right there, about 3 or 4 pieces stacked up right there. Here's one saddlebag that's opened up, and of course I gotta clean it and then take it apart and do the sanding on it. These are plastic trim pieces that go on the trunk, and the antennas and the rear armrest mount over this section here. This is brushed aluminum. It's plastic, but with a very thin coat of brushed aluminum over it, and the paint has all gone bad on top of that aluminum. Not exactly sure what I'm going to do with that, because I don't know about just painting right on aluminum like they did. That may not work out for me. I'll find out something, talk to the paint store. They're closed today. Can't talk to them today. There's the trunk lid. It still has the racks on it. There's a whole bunch of small plastic body parts all down here, all piled up. The brown pockets, I'll probably just clean them up and put them back on without painting those. Here's a whole bunch of lights, and these have LEDs inside of them. They're not removable on this one without opening this thing up and taking it apart, and it's glued together. It's snapped together and glued together. I did open one of them up. I got it apart without breaking it, and I'm in the process of locating these. They're like miniature 194 bulbs. They're like a 74 is what they're called, I believe. And I'm trying to get with an LED light specialist and locate these, because I want everything in LED. So I got to take all these apart. This one doesn't have lights on it. These do, and these lights come out. They unplug and come out on this one, so I can get those out without having to take it apart. I put the brake light and turn signal light back on. I had to get that off the trunk, and I plugged it back in. I'm going to change all of these 1156s and 1157s over. And there's an oddball size light here that's smaller than those 74s. Got to find out what size that is. That just lights up this little midsection here. I'm leaving this trunk on, this saddlebag on, because it's got 2 reasons. One reason is because it's got all of this subwoofer amp wired in, and I'm good enough to go on ahead and just mask this and paint this where it is. I'm okay with doing it that way. But this section here needs to come off. I'll take all this off. I'm going to leave the front alone. Yes, I'm changing the color, and I will do the front, but I'll do the back first. Get all that done, get that put back together, and then this will be a second project to take the front apart and get all the lights. I got to take all this apart to get the lights out. I'm not even going to mess with them. I'm just going to leave it like it is. I might take the windshield off to make sure it doesn't get any paint on it while I'm spraying in here. I don't have to worry about it. Just throw a tarp over it. The paint won't go through a tarp. It is a big job. It literally reminds me of all the hours I got taking this thing apart. It really reminds me of when I took the engine apart and rebuilt the engine in my big truck. It literally reminds me of everything I had to go through on that. This motorcycle is really a complicated thing to take completely apart and change the colors, paint everything, and then redo all the lights. But I'm happy to find out on the website these flashers, these turn signal and emergency flashers, there's supposed to be 2 of them here. I got one sitting on my desk. When I get a hold of those people Monday morning, this is Saturday, they're closed for the weekend. When I get a hold of them Monday, on the website they've got a flasher that's LED compatible, that looks identical to the plug-ins on this, and it's 4 motorcycles, and I'm assuming it's going to work on this. I'm going to buy it because it's cheap. It's only like $7 or $8. I'm going to get it, and I'm going to plug it in when I get those LED replacements for these 1156s and 1157s. But the only thing is, the front ones won't be able to, I'll have to take all of this apart to get the front ones out. Maybe not too awful much. Shouldn't be too big of a deal to get to those. Anyway, that's where I'm at on this project. Wish me luck. Normally I don't post any videos on something that's not finished, or I'm not 100% sure I am going to finish. But having gone this far, and it's winter time, it would be kind of stupid to just put it back together and wait for summer to drive it the same color with the paint fading on it. No, I am going to go on ahead and paint it. I've painted before, just nothing this complicated. I've just painted spot paint on cars. Painted a few cars completely, but I have to do a little at a time on them. I can't spray a whole car without making a mess, because I'm not a painter. Anyway, that's where we're at with this job. Okay. Here's another piece I forgot to mention. Here's some extra wiring that I took out of it. There's trailer hookup wiring. They had a rat nest of wiring on this trailer hookup that I just didn't like the looks of it. The turn signals were working, but I didn't want to plug a trailer light into it looking like this, and I'm not planning on pulling a trailer with it anyway. Had an extra turn signal flasher that didn't seem to be hooked up. It was wired into stuff, but who knows what. And this old obsolete backseat controls for a CB radio that I'll never use. I'm taking that off, and some other wiring harnesses here. Here's the stereo console, and this thing here will get repainted because it's got a lot of paint that's, see that? The paint's gone off of it, so I will repaint this. And when I do, I'll probably have to repaint all of this brown plastic on the front, because it's going to be a different color if I don't. And I can't change the color because the seat is brown. I can paint all of this stuff except this rubbery stuff in the seat. I can't paint that. Here's the seat up here. Here's some more pieces. Here's a little bit on the paint job that I'm doing, and it's a lot of money for this paint. It's almost $300 for just this little bit of paint right here. This is mine. I already had that. And this little can of reducer, and 2 cans of clear, 2 cans of hardener, and 2 cans of, or 3 cans of color. This is a full quart of the main color that I'm going to go with, and this is a half quart of, or a pint of a second color I'm going to put on the bottom side of the bike. This is a brown. They took a scanner machine and read the color that's on these plastic parts here. So I'm going to take the radio off of this thing and clean this thing up a little bit and paint this. See, the paint's gone. That's what this gray is. The paint's gone. So this will get repainted. Got about $130 some in replacing these plastic emblems. These two on this side cover, these two on this one, and one that goes on the front fender. It's already off. It goes there. $130 was about the best price I found on replacing those. This one is still looking in pretty good shape. It's going to stay. It's about 90%, but this one's about 20%. It's pretty well gone. And the other one on the other side's the same way. So when I paint this, I'll just strip this thing off of here, because that's signed in 3 different languages and it doesn't say anything important. So we'll take that off and just paint it without that. Here's one of these mounting tabs that's broken. I don't know if you can, I guess you can see that right there. It wasn't broken off, but it's just loose. I started to weld that up with a soldering iron, and then I decided to go ahead and buy a kit. I couldn't tell looking at the pictures on Amazon, but this foot on here is a little bigger than I wanted to go with, but I'll still be using it. And it comes with a piece of screen wired. I can cut a piece of that out and kind of weld that into the plastic here. And it also comes with these things here, welding sticks. It's all plastic welding. I have a hot air plastic welder, but it's going to be too hot and too intense for fixing a little bitty thing like this. That's for a larger job. This is where the soldering iron will come in handy, and so after I use the small soldering iron on this, then I will use this one and with a piece of screen and mash the screen down, and I'll do that on video and repair that. I've got a couple of those that I have to fix like that on this thing. On my headlight here, I have this broken piece that was glued on with some kind of glue. I don't know what kind of glue they used, and there's a section of plastic missing. I'm going to try and see if I can. I can't really weld this piece on where it welds onto. I could probably weld something in the hole here, but welding this piece on, I don't have a lot to work with. So what I'm going to try to do is I just glued a couple of plumbing fittings on with 2 different kinds of glue that are supposed to be compatible with ABS plastic. This is one here. I couldn't find just a straight OTE ABS, but this one goes ABS to PVC, which is exactly what I did right here with these fittings. Now these are old fittings. They're just spares that were in the junk. And then I also used the regular all-purpose, which is also good for ABS. On this one here, the green one is, you can tell the difference because it is green. The clear one is over here. I did it according to directions. This is old purple primer. It's not quite as purple as it used to be, but it's not that old. It's year old, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, we'll just give this a shot, and it's getting past my bedtime. I got to get up at 4 in the morning and go to work, so we'll see what this does tomorrow when I get home. We'll give that a test and see how well it holds up.